So, once you've established who your market segment is, how do you reach them? And this is, in the world that I grew up in, television advertising was king. Today, television advertising is something that's consumed on demand on the device of your choice, with or without the ability to skip through commercials. So that's out of the question. So how do we reach people? And again, people your age, I need to be mobile sensitive. People my age, I still watch the TV. I still watch the network channels. You can still reach me after the 6 o'clock news with your Depends ads. Thanks a lot. So once you understand who it is that you're trying to reach and how to reach them, then you need to establish the goals for the message. Again, you don't spend any money in business unless you have a clear idea of the outcome that you're trying to achieve with that expenditure. And you might have heard this like a billion times already in this class. The objective should be specific, measurable, time-bound, and relevant to what you're trying to accomplish. And I'm using, this term is the word appeal. Some people call it appeal, other people call it execution, and some people use it interchangeably. So for the sake of this class, let's just call the appeal is the basic central idea of the campaign. What is the message that you're trying to get across? And there are several different kinds of appeals that you can make. And you'll recognize many of these. One is the unique selling proposition, or the USP. What is it that's specific to your product that sets you apart from the competition? You might see this with comparative ads. We get better mileage than the other car, or even demonstration ads. Those infomercials are so wonderful. Look at how amazing the ShamWow works. Another approach is lifestyle type ads. And with lifestyle ads, we are trying to show the customer how their life would be if they used our product. I think the coffee companies are really good at this. With the Maxwell House, you have these wonderful little vignettes where these amazingly attractive people in this amazingly well-kept house wake up in the morning and have a cup of coffee together and immediately begin bonding and communicating in such a way that you wonder what's in that coffee. But that is the idea of lifestyle, just showing you if you used our product how amazing your life might be. One of the fun things to do is, if I like to reverse engineer ads, is to take a look at these lifestyle commercials, and who is in the commercial, that's an indicator of who the target audience is. So if the people in the ads look like you and talk like you, you are the target audience. If they don't look like you and they don't talk like you, it's probably not for you anyway. Okay. Another common approach is some kind of an emotional appeal. Sex sells. People respond to attractive people of whom, who are hot. Let's not sugarcoat it, okay? But again, people respond to attractive people. Humor is always a great way to cut through the clutter, because people remember funny stuff and they share it. And then there's a fear appeal where you try to scare people into using your product. Fear appeals work well in situations where I just was reading an article on persuasion, where fear appeals work best in situations where the context is scary. So like in a horror movie, it would be great to do a fear appeal because people are looking for safety and security. But probably the most famous fear appeal ad of all time is the "I've fallen and I can't get up." Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. That's pretty much says it right there. And the last is jingles or slogans. And jingles or slogans using rhyming, wordplay, or music to help get the message across. This works really well because part of the way that we as human beings learn language is, in the early stages, rhymes are how we learn, so that when you present information in a rhyming format, it connects with people at a much deeper level. And when you have music, especially you have one of those really catchy tunes that you can't get out of your head. One of my colleagues at Cincinnati coined the term earworm for a little bit of music that you can't get possibly out of your head. These are very powerful, and I have jingles for products that have been illegal to advertise for many, many years that I still, well, cigarettes, okay. They used to be able to advertise on TV, and I got all these great cigarette jingles in my brain, even though as a child I would never smoke cigarettes because that would be wrong. But I remembered those ads to this day. And I won't share them with you because I don't want you to take up smoking. That would be wrong. So once you've designed the ad, you have to produce it. Execution. And this is where creativity comes into play. There is an infinite number of ways to take a message and turn it into something that is going to reach an audience. And this is where pre-testing comes into play. Especially, we talked about with market research, is you want to limit your investment in research to the point where you're going to have a payoff. So if I've got a $4 million Super Bowl ad and I've got a $3 million production budget behind it and I've got another $4 million for ancillaries associated with it, I might spend a good deal of time and money finally crafting that message. And we can do tests at every step of the phase, every step of the process. We test the copy. Copy is just the term that we use for words in the ad, the language in the ad. You can test the concept. You can test 3 or 4 different versions of an ad and see where the audience responds. There's different ways that we can gauge people's responses to advertisements. But again, when you see a finished commercial, there has been a lot of research going into that to make sure that they're doing the job that they want to do. And it's interesting that there's a difference between a great commercial and an effective commercial. And effective commercials are not always great. Sometimes there's I guess I'm giving myself away because I listen to the radio, and there's an ad for a not-for-profit agency called Cars for Kids. Anybody heard that one? Yes. Yeah. Oh, God, no, not that one again. Yeah, they have the most annoying jingle, right?
Yes.
And you can sing it, can't you?
I'm not going to.
You're not going to, but you can. And all it is 1-800-CARS for kids, 1-877-CARS for kids, 1-877-CARS for kids. Donate your car to. Is that a great ad? I mean, am I going to go tell my friends about that? But what's the message?
Remember it.
Yeah, the message is donate your car. Here's the number. So again, we talk this in marketing. We get there's a tension between the agency and the sponsor. Is the agency is looking for creative recognition, and the sponsor is looking for financial recompensation or financial compensation for the product. And there's sometimes we call this art for art's sake. You do great commercials that don't necessarily generate a return. Probably the most famous example of art for art's sake is the California Raisins. Anybody heard of the California Raisins? You're too old? Okay, then I won't talk about that. But this was an advertising campaign. Yeah, having said that I'm not going to talk about it, let me talk about it. This was an advertising campaign that was created back in the 70s by the California Raisin Marketing Board, and it was to raise awareness of raisins. And they came up with these little claymation raisin things that did singing and did some really cool funk stuff. And it ended up that the Raisins went on to have their own television series. The Raisins went on to have a couple of television specials. It didn't really sell any raisins, but the commercials became famous. So again, art for art's sake. You want to make sure that the end result meets your needs, and it's nice if it meets the advertising agency's needs as well, but your needs come first because you're the one who is paying the bills.